Well, good
smart.
afternoon, everyone. We're going to start our meeting. We've been talking about COVID stuff. My name is Catherine O'Hare, and I'm the Chief Compliance Officer with MARR and the Vice President. So I want to start off today by introducing Jeff Van Treese. And do you have any updates you'd like to give, Jeff?
I do. Thanks.
Hey.
First on the MARR conference, we're all getting very excited and working on that on a daily basis. That's going to be October 9th, 10th, and 11th in Dearborn at the Henry Hotel. And I'm pleased to announce that all MARR certified operators, all 60 of you folks, are getting, thank you to the state of Michigan, a free registration as a value of $600. That entitles both the entry for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for all of the events, plus the breakfasts and lunches and the dinner that's there. It won't cover your hotel bill, but hopefully we'll get enough people that might not need hotels to show up there, and those that do, that still knock off probably 50% of your cost of coming. So I would encourage everybody to pay attention to that. Please mark your date with a big red circle for October 9th, 10th, and 11th.
So it pays for one person from your organization to attend, and more can attend, that's great. But we were granted this little extra money that we asked for so we can help everybody try to be there. It's really important that you represent Michigan and the recovery residence operators.
And I think, because I've been to like 5 of these, I learned something every time. It's worth your time to come down. These are not meetings where you walk away saying, gee, I wondered why I came to this time, spent my time here. They're going to have practical applications for operations, for research, for state recovery supports. And so I am very pleased to say that we're going to have a strong MARR contingent there. Second thing, this is on RecCap. For those of you that are experiencing issues when you talk to your residents about whether they want to participate in the RecCap program, David Bess now has, Professor Bess has a short 5-minute video that's on the MARR website. And if you contact me or Catherine or Kayla, we can send you the video as well. Or Kelly, yeah. We can send that video to you as well. But it basically says, and it's from Dr. Bess directly, here's why it's important for all of you residents to participate in the RecCap program. Here's what it's going to do for you. And secondly, there's privacy associated with RecCap data. No personal data will be released to anyone without a court order. So your probation or parole officer is not necessarily going to know anything and won't know anything about information that you give in the RecCap answer. And then I'll give you, this is on old items, old business. I don't have anything to report other than we're continuing to anticipate a notice of funding opportunity that will be providing significant funding for either the purchase or the long-term lease, probably 5 years or more term for new recovery residences, underline the word new recovery residences, particularly in underserved areas of the state of Michigan. And then secondly, as a result of the changes in the Michigan law, adding gender to the protected classes of people under the Michigan Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act, as well as a statute that deals with speech. There's been some guidance that we're working on with PIHP representatives, MARR operators, and a lawyer with the ACLU. And we anticipate finishing that guidance and having that available sometime in the next, hopefully before the, within the next month, hopefully before the September operators meeting. So with that, that's my report. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. Kayla's sick today, speaking of COVID.
Yeah.
I think that may be it, so she's not going to talk too well, but go ahead, Kayla, what do you have to talk about?
Yes. I don't have a lot to update. I did want everyone to know that I will be sending out a form after this meeting, so you can let us know who from each program will be attending, or if you plan to attend at all. We would love to know and kind of get a survey of, even if maybe you have more than one person that's going to be attending, we just want to kind of get an idea of how many of our operators are going to be there. We also have a lot of volunteer opportunities that are going to be available at the conference, and that form will list if you're interested in volunteering or if you have anything else that you want to help with or anything like that. So I'll also be sending that out after the meeting. I did want to applaud all of you that became involved in the Facebook page recently. We definitely have a good amount of you on there. I would love to see some more feedback on the meetings. Any ideas you have for topics of discussion would be great, or even more conversation in the group itself would be awesome. I love seeing you all interact and sharing ideas, and it's been a really great platform for you all. So just keep that up. That'd be amazing. And I just want to welcome anyone new that's also on this meeting. I know there's been a couple of changes in leadership and just a couple of new operators in general. So if you're on this meeting, welcome. It's good to see you. I'm so sorry I'm not able to have my camera on, but definitely look like crap today. So I'm saving you all from that. If you have any questions, definitely always feel free to reach out to me. But that's all the updates that I have.
Thank you. We wanted to remind everybody too about your CertiMe page. Please make sure that you're always updating any kind of changes that you have, increase in beds, decrease in beds. If you have, you've changed the population that you're working with. If somebody that has been in charge of the home that took the MARR trainings, they left your organization, it's important that whoever takes over and again has the day-to-day contact for your programs, they should be taking the MARR trainings too. So we always want at least one person from your organization to be educated on the MARR and MARCH standards. So do you have any questions about any of that so far? Free to speak up. Kelly Darren, you have any updates?
I actually do. So at this point with the RECCAP ARMS system, with the onboarding in the state of Michigan, we are officially at our 50% mark. So we have 50% of our operators actively involved in the onboarding or actively using the system. So that is no small accomplishment, and definitely want to send out kudos and thanks to all of the operators that have worked so hard to implement this in their home and make the program a success. It's greatly appreciated. Another thing is just to remind you about the voucher that's available. So saying that we have 50% means we have about 30 that are working and about 30 that we're going to be working on. So just a reminder that there is a voucher for each certified address, and that's $300 per certified address to purchase equipment to use.
Up to
purchase for the clients to use when they're completing the evaluations, etc., so that you have equipment available to complete that. With all the talk about the conference, etc., we're, like Jeff said, we're getting really excited. And one of the main things that I'm super excited about is Dr. Best sharing some of our statistics from Michigan that we've been able to gather through the onboarding process and having evaluations completed, etc. So that's just another thing to look forward to at the conference. And lastly, I just kind of wanted to throw out there that we're at a place now where everybody is into the system and adding information. So we're going to begin forming a community of practice. So what that looks like is Virginia, who has been using the system, they're a couple of years ahead of us, has been implementing this in their state. Essentially, we get all of the operators together and problem solve, chat if there's, if there's issues that anyone's experiencing, bounce ideas off of each other, and just basically support each other and kind of build up communication. So that we're all supporting each other in this process as well. So I'm myself and a couple of operators from Michigan will be joining Virginia at the end of this month, the 25th. Just to kind of get one under our belts, get some experience under us. And then next month in September, we will be working towards starting that in the state of Michigan and including all of the operators that are participating in the onboarding process. So that's a couple things to look forward to with RECCAP. And I think that's all I got.
What's the deadline date for this fiscal year, Kelly, for the vouchers?
For this fiscal year, it's September 15. So I've sent an email to everybody, whether it be you are actively in the onboarding process, to make sure that you're aware of that date and sent you a voucher that needs to be turned in by. For any of those that have not become active in the process yet, I sent an email letting you know of that deadline date and letting you know to reach out to me so that we can get together over Zoom.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
So we just completed our budget for fiscal year 24, and I did put a request in for additional funding. So hopefully the computer reimbursement can continue into next year for those that didn't have an opportunity this year, or you were at a certain stage and couldn't get in. But if you can, it's really important to try to get done before the 15th of next month. So that way I have time to bill for everything and send you the check before the funding starts over again. So perfect. Wally's mic isn't working. I don't know. Did Wally have any updates that you know of, Jeff?
No, I don't think so. Having said that, I've got one that I'd like to add that I forgot earlier. If anybody knows, stop that. There's going to be a panel discussion at the MARR conference, and it's going to center on how recovery looks different in the tribal communities and also in the Muslim communities. The tribal community speakers, I've got that covered with Lady Kateri Koyas from White Bison, who's the president of White Bison. But on the Muslim recovery residence operators, we've found one in Minneapolis, St. Paul, but I don't have any in the state of Michigan. And so if anybody knows of any recovery residences operator or anything remotely touching upon recovery residences that involves the person of the Muslim faith, it'd be great if you could reach out to me and let me know name, contact information for that, because I want to bring, here's how recovery looks different in the Muslim communities, here's how recovery looks different in the tribal communities, so that we can learn from that process. So if anybody knows anybody, please send me contact information. Thanks. That's all Wally would have said had Wally been able to speak.
Oh, Wally. Okay. Is Grayson on here from Billie Jean's? Grayson on here? Well, Billie Jean's Recovery is located in Gaylord, Michigan. She has a very nice 9-bed female home, and has a lot of supports and a lot of resources there available. They have this huge garden out back, and they bring in the community every week as well to do have meetings and stuff around a campfire in the back. And this is her second year being certified, and she just continues to impress me. So Billy Janes is actually the operator of the month for this month. So congratulations. I was asking if she was on here because I thought, well, she could tell you a little bit more about her program and some of the things she does. But maybe next time. So there was a few things that people wanted to talk about for the topics. One thing I wanted to talk about, and I asked that when I do the site reviews, do you still have COVID policies and procedures in place? Do you have anything out and about? And the reason I asked that is I just heard on NPR yesterday, and now Michaela's got COVID probably now too, because her friend had it. But it's here, and people are getting, it's a new variant right now. There's a lot of different variants, but all the variants that have been out in the past are still active. So it's just really important to be prepared. Be prepared. We've got, cold weather's coming. There's going to be flu and colds, and a lot of those symptoms could be symptoms of COVID as well. So hopefully we won't have a big scare and stuff like we have in the past. But one of the practices that would be helpful is if somebody's sick, it doesn't matter if they got a cold or the flu, too. If somebody's sick, ask them to kind of meet, when they're home from work, whatever they're doing, just to kind of stay away from the big population. If they're in the room, that's one thing. But if they come out, ask them to wear a mask and have them available in your home. Have hand sanitizer available, encourage, make sure people are washing and cleaning surfaces and stuff and doorknobs. This is just something I think we should all be mindful of and still doing. Because that's just a respectful thing too, is if you're sick, wear a mask. So you're not putting the others at sick, but that's stuff that should still be available in your homes for individuals. So does anyone have any questions about that or any suggestions for other operators on something that you're doing? Please just speak up.
Hi, I'm Crystal with A Mother's Touch Sober Living, and we do still have those practices in place at the entrance of the door and throughout the house. We are still supplying those COVID prevention, items. But now what I'm seeing, and I know we have kiddos, right? And so we're seeing like croup and hand, foot, mouth, and so having to isolate mom and baby in those situations as well, in our residence. Yeah. Yep.
I didn't even think about the kiddos. Yeah, the children, living in children's homes. Yeah, you've got something else to deal with. So
Hi,
thank
everybody.
you.
I have one too. I'm Darlene Owens from Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries. Something else that we're doing, we just had an outbreak in our women's and children's facility, but we always test weekly. But with the kids interacting with other kids and they're coming and going because, after that person has kind of completed their service amount of time, we're seeing that they are bringing it back in. So what we do is every entry, you're supposed to wear your mask, even though we know folks that have their vaccination. So it's up to the staff now if you want to wear it or not. But for me, I have to feel comfortable. And it's what somebody's comfortability is. But we make sure that we test weekly, and also we have at every entrance that temperature thermometer, but we do COVID testing, the instant ones, as well as we have a company come in weekly. So we're trying to stay on top of it. But on that one, with all those children that we had, we have about 11 kids in one of our sites. So that's how the outbreak kind of came about.
And
Majority of the
they're
clients
so
are
good
kids.
at washing hands, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm telling, touching and eating everything. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I had my vaccinations, and I've had a booster, and I still got COVID. Last August, I still got COVID, and it was with me for 3 weeks. It was really not good. Anybody else have anything they want to share about what you're doing to keep your home safe? No. One thing, and I keep bringing it up at every meeting, another thing you guys can do is make sure that you don't have bar soaps at your sinks. There should be the hand pump soap. So bar soaps are just a petri dish of any kind of bacteria you can think of. Sometimes I see them in showers and our loofahs in showers, razors in showers. So it's just a good practice to ask everybody, put their stuff in a little baggie or give them a little shower caddy to remove their things from the bathroom when they're done. Because people will share other people's things. And again, you got to think about with razors, hepatitis, there could be numerous things that could be carried on that. And loofahs, again, another way to remind them so that they're more apt to keep their stuff out of there is say, well, what you're using to wash your face, somebody else is washing something else with. So just to kind of put that visual out there, so maybe they'll be more apt to remove their things. Plus, with everything in showers, how are they going to clean the shower every day, right? Somebody's got that chore to do the bathroom. They either have to remove everything before they can clean, or they're just cleaning around it, so the tub and shower really aren't getting cleaned like they should. So, anybody else have anything they want to add to that subject?
I remember back in the day when I was in a recovery home 7 years ago, they had like little shower caddy things. You buy them for $1 down at Myers, 50 acres.
Yeah.
And then you just take that with you and you take it as you're leaving the bathroom area.
Yeah, and again, you don't have that a gallon Ziploc bag. Just put your stuff in there and take it back to your room so nobody even uses it. So a couple of topics that was brought up was there was a question about cameras in the home. And is there anyone that would like to talk? I know several operators have cameras up in the home. I'll just add some real quick. They have to be in common areas if you have them, cannot be any bedroom or bathrooms or anything like that. I see them more regularly on the exterior of the home to monitor when people are coming and going. Which is just fine. Does anybody else want to talk about a system that they have in their home?
Yeah, I just happened 2 weeks ago, received some emails from some residents about that very issue. And their main concern is theft of their cookies in the kitchen, which seems like every house at any time eventually has the cookie thief. And they wanted to install cameras. And after brainstorming with my team, we kind of came up with, they need to stay in community areas so that we're not violating privacy of people going in and out of the bathroom or in the bathroom. And so we do that. And then we also go, it should be brought up during their weekly meeting about the comfort level. And as long as the majority of the house is comfortable with it and it's in a community area, we figure it meets the threshold of being acceptable. And so far that has worked out by having just those criteria.
Thank you, Preston.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
Hi, thank you, Preston. So in our residence, we have them, of course, externally at every entrance and kind of where we can see the front of the home and the sidewalk and then the driveway and the back of the home. And on the inside, we have one we have an upstairs. So like going up the stairs so that we can see whoever may be coming from outside in the front door that may go right directly up the stairs. We can see who that may be. And then we have, of course, a camera in our office area. And then another camera inside near our side entrance door where the residents come in and go. So those are the only places that we have cameras, but we do also make our residents aware that they are there. And sometimes they want you to check them if you don't believe that they're in by curfew. Check the cameras, check the cameras.
Yeah. And some places have the Ring doorbell. Now they're just using the Ring doorbell on the front and on the back so they can kind of see who's coming and going. But not to
That's what
people
we
haven't,
have. That
yeah,
is
not
what
that
we
people
switched
haven't
to.
climbed
Sorry.
through a window here and there. But
Yeah,
my late husband shared that one time when he first went to a recovery residence. That's what he did. He would climb out his window and to have his girlfriend, and then he would try to climb back, and he got caught many moons ago. But anybody else have anything they want to share about cameras, the positives, negatives, anything?
well, one of the feedbacks that I got, and I believe it was the Ring camera, is one resident really didn't mind having cameras in community areas, but they didn't want the ones that had audio listening on them because it caused people to eavesdrop on other people's private conversations, and so they only wanted cameras that were visual.
Sense, I guess. Anyone have any comments about that?
I have to say for us, we have cameras as well, and we do have them with audio. And only time that we will listen to something like that is if an incident happened. Because no one really has that kind of time to be going through the cameras. You're always looking to make sure no one gets hurt, no one steals anything or anything like that. But the only time that we would listen to it is if an incident happened and we have to do we have to do some type of incident report to our funder and what have you and stuff, and we can see what actually went down. Other than that, we don't listen to it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, nothing should be coming out of their mouth except for that's recovery focused anyway, right? So
Exactly.
if
But
they're
if you're-
concerned about a conversation, maybe that maybe
no
doesn't
one
spell the-
cares about that. But if it's
Right.
something that is someone says someone threatened them or something like that, we'll go back, look at the time and the date, and listen to see if it was an exchange, that kind of stuff. And sometimes you can tell just by body movement what's going on.
Right. That makes sense.
We-
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shalonda from Mariners Inn. We do have cameras here as well. We have them in the hallways, the front entrance. We have them in the kitchen and also in our backyard. And we do not have audio over here, but the cameras are great for the kitchen. It's always something's coming up missing. View the camera, and it's also good for curfew purposes as well.
Great, thank you.
My only suggestion on, from an operator's point of view, is that you disclose to the residents that there are cameras in place in the common areas. And if it's audio recording, that you disclose that the audio is recording as well. And you just put that into the application process.
And it's
So
going over
they
with
come back later.
orientation.
Yeah, so nobody can come back later and say, gee, you've invaded my privacy and you owe me money.
Oh, trust me, they look up, they see them, and a lot of them like it because it makes them feel safe.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's only in the common areas, not in their rooms, not in the bathrooms. It's in hallways, stairwells, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We have cameras. We've had them for years, and we have it posted on the door, audio and video surveillance. We have them in the common areas, outside, and some people may have audio and don't know yet. If it's Comcast, it's got audio and you can speak to your residents also too. You may not know.
That's interesting, Ron.
Oh, that's right, because when I do, Ron, when I do your site reviews, Ron walks around with me with his home. And his wife is on, she can see in the cameras while we're walking around, and she'll speak up and start saying, well, what about this or what about that? And I told you, Ron, yeah, she's got her little, it's kind of cool that she can talk and she can see what's going on in the homes and talk to the residents at the time. I hadn't seen that at another location. Kind of funny. Anybody else?
We also remind clients that only staff can access the things, so they don't have to worry about another client having access to the cameras or being able to see, and we only use ours outside, but that's kind of that reassurance that no one beyond staff at the house is able to access it.
Yep. That's a good
Good idea.
idea. Good idea. And I hear a lot of people say this, and getting off subject a little bit, but, and I do it too sometimes. But recovery residences, the people that live in our homes, they're residents, not clients. It's really important that we distinguish. It's recovery residence is very different from treatment. You know, treatment is clients. And when we say clients, sometimes in different settings, people automatically assume we're talking about treatment. So we want to make sure that when it comes to our recovery residents, that we try to remember to say residents. Sometimes it just comes right out and I don't even think about it. But one thing, like if you have a larger home, as far as theft and that kind of stuff, if you have a larger home, I think a good practice is to assign refrigerators to individuals. Let's say you have 8 individuals and you've got 2 refrigerators. Well, maybe there's a little magnet you can get and you can write permanent marker on there if you want, or dry erase marker. And these 4 individuals are in this refrigerator and these 4 individuals are in that refrigerator. So if somebody that's going in the refrigerator and their name isn't on there, you know that they're not supposed to be on there. So that's one way to kind of keep people out of other people's things. Also, make sure they're putting their name on their things too. So a healthy thing too would be if they make something, yeah, have a little tape in the kitchen where they put a little masking tape or something on a container and that says hamburger on what particular date it was in there. That comes from the health department thing in my head. But it's important that if it's got somebody's name on it, pop, you could have 10 people that have Dr. Pepper in the fridge, so put your name on your Dr. Pepper so people know not to drink that Dr. Pepper. One of our homes that my late husband and I ran, one guy said he figured out how to keep people from eating his food. And I asked him how he would do that. And he wrote right on there, I spit in my food. Or I spit in my milk, so people would just like leave it alone and wouldn't touch it. So that's creative. But, anybody else have anything that want to share about that? Nate, is your hand up? No, I think I have my thing over here. Pets in homes. That was another topic that people wanted to discuss. And I've been to a few homes where they have pets. Usually it's a cat that I see there. So my only, especially, you have emotional support pets. Anyone can go online and say, I need an emotional support pet tag, and they can get that. They can talk to their doctor and their doctor can write them a note. The one thing to be mindful of, if you allow a person in your home, they have an emotional support pet, just remember you've got how many other residents that are all going to say, well, I have my emotional support pet too, right? So if you allow it for one, you need to be fair and allow it for everybody, or you're not going to allow it. One thing you got to think about as well is not everybody is very friendly when it comes to pets. Sometimes people are mean, they might try to give it, their medication or something. You've got to be mindful of, is that pet going to be safe in the area that you're in? If you have a dog, who's going to let the dog out, when you're not there and you're at work? Who's responsible for that kind of stuff? You also have to keep in mind, some people are allergic. So if you have an individual, you've been, you're not always 100% full, right? So you have a few beds open maybe, and you're waiting for that next intake to come, and you've got somebody and they're like, oh, I'm definitely allergic to cats. It's like, so you're not going to take the person now, right? Because you have a cat in the house. So just be mindful if that's something you allow. It doesn't always work out, but sometimes it can, and it can be great experience as far as pet therapy goes. Anybody want to share any experiences they've had with your pets in your home? Positives, negatives?
We had, oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Stephanie, go ahead.
Well, so we had a kind of bad experience. Someone brought a pet in that we didn't know until they left unexpectedly and left the pet behind. And
Oh,
so
no.
struggling to get them to come back and get this. And imagine our surprise when we find a tank with a snake in it. That we're trying to get them to come back and get. So we do say no pets at all, especially after that situation. Even fish, like we've had residents leave and not say, hey, I have a fish in my room. And now we've unfortunately had dead fish. So we've just kind of gone across the board, no pets, and because of allergies too, just trying to keep everyone safe. And I just never know whose animal may or may not be nice. So we like the safety kind of factor for everyone.
And just a minute, Lorraine, when you do allow pets, you know, an emotional support pet, what if their emotional support pet is a snake? Or what if it's a horse? Or what if it's something, you know, like it's my rat, you know, it's just like, where do you draw a line? You know, do you say it has to be either a cat or a small dog? Make sure it's got its shots, you know, it's up to date on its rabies shots and that kind of stuff. And who's liable if that dog bites somebody? Who do you think's liable for that? You are, as the operator. You guys, I see my nail fell off. You guys are, because you allowed it in your home. So again, people don't need an excuse to sue. You know, you could be sued for anything, but that just opens you up to another chance of being liable for if somebody gets hurt. So go ahead, Lorraine. Lorraine Stephen?
Hi.
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 What program
so
are you
we
with, Lorraine?
So I'm with Joppa House in Charlevoix. I'm no longer, I used to live in the houses and as an on-site supervisor, and now I don't. I just do all of these little meetings and stuff for our director. But so the question, and I help out with case management weekly, and one of the questions that we're getting from a couple of the newer residents is that they are asking for the emotional support animals, which our director goes over with everybody when she takes applications and when they come into the house and do orientation, that we don't have the possibility of having support animals because of the what do we do with the liability and what does it look like here and what does it look like there. But now we have one resident that's being very adamant about the fact that they have to have this emotional support animal, and which is a cat, and we just have no idea how to be able to continue the conversation or even give more information to it, because even when we talk about policies and things that are going on for our house or houses, we've got 2 of them, it just doesn't stop. So yeah, any advice that anybody has would be awesome.
Well, I would recommend just, you know, these are the rules of our program. I understand if you feel you need to find another place to go, but at our program, these are our rules, and you have to do the same thing for everybody and give them a list of reasons why, like you said, you know, and people come in, they might be allergic to it and that kind of stuff. So
Jill,
we would miss you, but yeah, these are our rules if you want to stay here.
Jill in the comments has also said her insurance agent discouraged pets because of the liability. So you could also blame it on your insurance, the kind of insurance you have. It's above your head. It's not, it's not your rules. It's what your insurance is not allowing. So.
And also that should have been shared up front, like what Catherine stated about it should be in the rule book, and they should have a sign off that they read and understood the rules. So it is in writing that we told you, this is something that's not tolerated. We can't have them because of the same reasons. Allergic, a lot of people are allergic to pet dandruff, and also they may bite, and also they may tear up furniture. So you got to think about everything.
Well,
Yeah, that's a really great point. Thank you, because we do have that on signature. So I need to remember that. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
One thing that just underlies the whole issue from a legal perspective you're not required as a recovery residence operator to allow anybody with any pets, period, end of story. And so they have no legal right to require that because you're not a public accommodation or public transport. And so the rules that would allow them to have animals like in a bar or a restaurant don't apply to recovery residents. And then on the liability side, go talk to the Secret Service agents in the White House. You know, that dogs bite. I got bit by a German Shepherd when I was 6 years old. I'm still recovering from it. So yeah, there's insurance issues, and I would just advise against having any type of emotional support animal for all those reasons that were discussed.
So I have a question, I guess, regarding that. We had a situation where we had a resident who brought in his dog without permission. Like, he went home to visit his family for the holiday. Could have called, asked, all this stuff. He just brought the dog here. Basically, it was like, I'm just gonna like do what I want, and then I'll see what happens afterwards. And like at our staff meeting and stuff, like our executive director was trying to say like that, like by law, we couldn't have him ask him to not have the dog here, which I just feel like was ridiculous.
Was he a lawyer that said that?
No,
Okay.
no. And I don't even know if the dog was like serviced at the time he was getting it serviced, but regardless, like he didn't ask permission to bring the dog in here. And I don't feel like animals should be in the house because of the allergic issue. You know, like that's really like restricting other clients in the future who have allergies from coming in our house. And our main focus is, you know, our residents, excuse me, not the animals. I mean,
So what did you do? So
well,
again, put
we
that in writing.
okay, yeah, I feel like we should probably add that to our policies. We allowed him to have the dog here. Unfortunately, that resident didn't make it very long in our house. But so it didn't like proceed to be an issue for long. But after he had brought the dog in, other residents were like, I want to get an emotional support raccoon. I want to get an emotional support this. And I'm like, no, you're not. But yeah, you know, everybody wanted to get, you know, an animal then, but it was also just like he didn't ask permission, and because he knew like the answer was already no. And but like for some reason my boss seemed to be under the understanding that like we weren't by law allowed to ask him to take the dog out of the house.
Your boss should go talk to your boss's attorney.
Okay. All right.
Well, even if people still want to consider allowing an animal, even with all the disadvantages and cons to it, there are, normally it focuses on dogs, but there's certifications that are way above just emotional support certifications that, you know, many hospitals and elderly folk homes use. I believe they're like good citizen canine certifications that you can't just buy offline with a 1 hour course. I mean, it's multiple weeks of training. And if someone wants to still consider it, they can say, well, we'll do it, but it's on this higher degree of certification that's required for the animal to be awarded before they can come in. And that could also get rid of a lot of this noise and loopholes of just getting something online.
Good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, if somebody had, let's say you have a seeing eye dog for a blind resident that wants to come in. That might morally make all the sense in the world, but for reasons that we've already discussed about other people, other residents might not be comfortable with that for various reasons. You probably want to have a home that would accommodate somebody that has that type of a disability. And that would be a special case, I would think. But yeah, there is something that's a higher grade of need, reflects a higher grade of need and training for the animals. But I don't know what it deals with other than blind people, so.
Any other questions or comments or concerns about pets in the place? Again, if you allow it for one, you gotta allow it for the next person. You know, so it's important. So, Don Kaiser, you got a question in the chat? You wanna just ask and get more detail, give more detail on what you're asking about? Maybe you can't.
Yeah. Don
There it
Kaiser,
is.
Catholic Social Services in the Upper Peninsula. No, it was just, that was just regarding, it was answered, Catherine. It was
Okay.
basically just wanting to know if there's more than one of us in the agency for financial assistance, but Kayla answered it for me. Thanks.
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect, thank you. Well, this meeting is for you guys. Is there any other subjects you want to talk about? Any other topics you want to bring up? Any positives or negatives? First, I gotta say, I see Jason DeBeck down below on a boat on the water. Now that's the ideal place to have a meeting. That's amazing. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Any problems, concerns?
I did have one question I wanted to follow up, and I really appreciate the clarity. We had someone in the women's house bring a dog in that they said was a service animal. And when the women's director tried to question her on it, she said it was against the law for us to even question or ask. And so the clarity on that is what he was saying earlier is we're completely separate from those rules, right?
That's my understanding, because if you look at the law concerning the ability to have service animals, they deal with public transportation issues, hotels, motels, those type of issues, not private residences.
And that's on a state by state basis, right? Like what applies in another state doesn't really. So if Michigan has its own, or is that a federal thing?
It's probably federal. I don't know. It's probably federal.
All right, thanks guys. I appreciate the clarity on that. That's really
Having
helpful.
said that, Michigan might have its own supplementary statute. I don't know. I just try to keep the cats out of my own house.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and as Darlene was saying earlier, it's important, make it part of your policy. Have a policy, and that should be part of the intake packet when a resident comes to your program. That's one thing that you talk about and elaborate on it if you need to. You know, just say, we understand this, but it is not allowed here in our home. And they can choose if they want to stay in your program or they can find another program. So, any more comments about that? Any other subjects you want to talk about?
Well, I guess I do have one, and in my brain, I've been going back and forth on if we should get the input of everyone, or if I should get the input of only Catherine first. I guess it won't hurt just to get people's opinion,
Right.
and then go from there. And I just, I'm starting to my 30-day countdown to get my normal annual audit done. And one of the new requirements for this year has to do with the MARR form for maintenance. And I'm finding that is not working well for my organization. And it's actually becoming a detriment.
In what way?
In my organization's 10 locations, a total of 100 beds spread out through 2 counties. And I'm finding that form, having the residents filling it out can sometimes put me in a bad situation. And one example is a resident sees that there's a leak, and it means I should probably immediately take care of it, or else it's going to cause more damage. And with that form, I had to now rely on my residents to have the proper judgment of, hey, is this a maintenance issue that should be addressed right away? Or can I just write it on the list, and then when Preston or one of his staff members sees it, then it could get addressed? And it seems, and I'm kind of opening myself up to someone else making that judgment call when they're not, when our residents don't always practice the proper judgment calls. And I'm strongly leaning to going back to what I had before, which is all maintenance issues, no matter how small or how big, immediately get communicated to me or communicated to the house manager. That way I know that there's a quick funnel of communication and stuff is not getting lost on a piece of paper that's waiting for me to see it.
If you have a system in place, then that's fine. Use a system that's in place. But when I go and do a site review and I see all kinds of issues that maintenance concerns, well, you got, you know, your light fixtures hanging, your toilet's running, you got this and this, you know, obviously the system's broken somewhere.
Yeah.
And residents, sometimes they think, well, I'm going to tell somebody, or maybe they told verbally the house manager, or she was heading out the door, the house manager forgot, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, you know, you got to kind of weigh, there has to be something in place so that when a resident or house manager sees something, it's not going to be forgotten. Maybe they could still write it down, put the date and call you to make sure that you're aware. You can decide if it's up to you, but we put that in place because there were too many inconsistencies throughout the state. A lot of people say that they had maintenance on board and that could fix things. And if that's true, then I shouldn't be seeing all these other things going on in the homes that need to be repaired. If you have a good system, that's great. If not, it's just a tool. It's just a tool.
Okay.
You can add something else to it. You say, if you write anything on this list, you need to call me as well, you know, just so that you're aware. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it makes me feel better. And I think, and I do have a well-documented process or procedure for it. So no, this makes me feel better. And I think I can demonstrate a well-documented process that will then satisfy MARR's requirement.
Again, we just want to know that there's a system in place and the homes are being maintained and kept up. And there was just too many inconsistencies throughout the state that wasn't always happening. So it's just a tool. And if you've already got a great system, then when I come to your homes next, I won't find anything, right? Anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Talk about the maintenance list. How is it working for you? I've seen it being used in some of the homes, which was nice. And some of the operators they reported that they like it because it gives them some place to look and they can work on it right away to fix things. Again, it's just a tool. Anybody else have anything else they want to talk about? Got a few minutes? All right, I'm going to give you 6 minutes back of your day. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And get those rec cap vouchers to me so we can get your check in the mail. So have a good week, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Nice seeing you, Darlene.
Good seeing you
Thank you.
too.
See you, Kat.
Bye.